Hello! Today we're outside and having a little bit of a walk and talk because my desk chair died and tried to take me with it. So my little setup at home isn't really working the way I want it to. And the short end of this, or the short version of this video, is I think that there should be a better representation of child-free people in books, and specifically in romance books. I've been reading quite a bit of it and done a lot of research on it in terms of the romance books. And any subgenre kind of have this. There's a lot of people out here today and I am so self-conscious, but we're doing it. There's an assumption of heteronormativity, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it is still the majority of people who are straight. With that said, not every straight person wants to have children. They don't want to live in exactly the same way. It is more about the one kind of cookie cutter way of living your life that I have an issue with. Sure, I myself am a child free by choice. It's really not for me, and it's a choice that I have spent years thinking and dissecting and twisting and turning and reaching this specific conclusion. And I want to see that more represented in books because some people want children, some people don't want children. That's why I really want more representation, of course, for myself, but also for others, to showcase that it's okay. Your relationship should be more than one, sex, and two, children. If your relationship doesn't stand on its own, child is not going to fix that. You're putting an ungodly weight upon a child to fix your marriage if that's what you have. I think that a relationship can be full and complete and joyful without a ring and without spawns. Offlings, no, that's offsprings. That's the word. So I think that that should be represented, because even if people do decide to have children later on, I think that what we should see in these romance books is definitely a better representation of what a good, healthy relationship is. That your relationship should be able to stand on its own before you get married and before you have kids, even if you do choose to do those things. And I don't feel like that's really being dissected or questioned. Of course, I don't know, but the impression I get from a lot of the authors who write these books is that the question hasn't really appeared and been dissected because their characters are eerily similar in their relationship goals. It is good sex and then marriage and then kids. Whether or not you are compatible doesn't really seem to enter into the equation, and all characters and relationships have that same goal and behavior, and the ladder is looking the same for them, and so on and so forth. The lack of diversity in traits and behaviors and goals and mindset is very obvious in my opinion, and that lays the foundation for why I think that a lot of the authors haven't questioned things enough. They write a story that represents what you should do, and then that's it. They don't question it, they don't dissect it, they don't twist it and turn it in perspective and challenge themselves to ask, is this really what this character would want? The stereotypical like badass heroine, man with tits kind of situation, would she really be looking to making a stereotypical family? Is that what she wants? Is she looking for that? Or is she maybe looking for a partner that values her first and foremost and would be comfortable with maybe her still going out on, let's say, missions and all of that stuff? These are questions that child-free people ask themselves. How would it affect my life? How would I take care of it? How would I deal with it? How would it impact my relationship? So on and so forth. And with a default setting that you should be making babies, I don't necessarily think that people question that or ask themselves like, hey, am I really even ready to have a baby? Do I have the financial resources for it? Do I have the space? Is my job stable enough? Is my income stable enough in order to be able to take care of this one? I think that it's very important to have those questions posted and showcasing that characters are different, people are different, And I really, really, really want this notion that because you're not married and don't have kids means that you don't have a family. And it's not until you have children that you're now a family. And I feel like I really hate that narrative, because my partner and I, we've been together for 8 years now. He is my family, whether we're married or have children or not. And I hate the narrative. I really, really despise it, that people are diminishing it as in it's not real. No, it's just that people don't necessarily want exactly the same thing as you, and that has to be okay. So yeah, I really want more representation of child-free people and relationships that works on it, and open communication about it, that it's not such a taboo thing. I have my best friend, she wants kids, and I love her for it, and I will be there for her and her partner and that kid or kids any day of the week. I just don't want them myself. And she knows that, and she respects that, and I respect the fact that she wants kids. And that's not unusual. I think that the vast majority of people in the world actually are very respectful of it. Yet when we look at media, it's not reflected. And I find that very confusing. Let's be real for a little bit. Most of this baby craze, baby focus rather, I want to say, is always about the women characters, not so much about the men characters. The men characters are kind of like, oh, if I have to. And I'm not just going to say that's not a great foundation for a relationship, and definitely not for parenthood. But the focus isn't about that, really. It's about this narrative that people who don't have children are somehow incomplete. They are not full people yet, because the assumption is that you just don't know yet that you want to have children, and the glory that it is, and the new definition of love that you will experience, and all of that stuff. And I think to people who want children, I'm sure that that's true. But I think that it's a very poor narrative to spin, because there's people out there who want to have kids and can't. And phrasing it in that way is going to hurt people who are infertile, who wants children, more than people who choose not to have children because they don't want it. I've been told I'm selfish and I'm bringing the end to my bloodline, and actually it's insane. This dude said, I couldn't fathom being so selfish to bring about the end of humanity. But I was like, what kind of power do you think I have? And I was like, that's kind of a cool thing to have on my resumes, if you will. That was just such a wild take in and of itself that you can't not laugh, right? It's like, one person not having kids is not bringing to the end of humanity. Like, get over yourself, It was wild. That take was wild. Did I turn on the mic here? Yeah, okay, thank God. If I've been babbling here for how long. But really, the narrative that you're spinning about this, oh, you will never truly know love unless you pop out a kid or 5, is hurting people who want kids but can't, more than it's hurting people who choose not to have kids because they don't want it. If you're the type of person who spins that kind of narrative, you really need to take that into consideration. Whether or not I have kids is none of your damn business. And it's not going to affect you. It's not going to impact you. If anything, you're going to have more resources for your kid or kids. Ooh, it is windy today and it's cold. So, why is this important? I think that it's very good to challenge your own perceptions regarding what you've been taught. Is this the way you want to live your life? Is this something for you? Or is this something that your parents or your grandparents or your friends or your teachers, society has instilled in you? Asking those questions, and a lot of them probably will be, yeah, actually, this feels good for me. This is what I want. And that's fine. But then you have asked them so that you know that they're actually coming from you, and it's not just a taught behavior or a thought, if you will. And I think that's very important in order to figure out who you are. And I also think that having a wider representation of people and lifestyles and behaviors and all of that stuff is going to make media more inclusive and be able to represent more people and expand our view of what being human is, being a person is. So this particular topic definitely is about something that I feel very passionate about because it applies to me, but it could be true for any kind of topic or aspect in general. But we do need more child-free people that are happy and healthy in their own existence and in their relationships, because portraying people who choose not to have children or are unable to have children as these miserable people who are missing out on being a full, complete person, that says more about you than them. And you're not a very good person if that's the way you're gonna approach it. If that's how you truly think about it, if this is your first time really asking yourself that, if you have that notion instilled in you already and you haven't really sat down and thought about it, you're not a bad person. You just haven't spent the time to think about it. And I encourage you to do that. Is children for you? Why not? The pros and cons. What kind of relationship do you want? Is it a deal breaker? Why not? All of these questions you should be asking yourself, because you become a better person, you know yourself better, and you will be a better partner. Asking yourself these questions will help you improve who you are, because you will know more who you are, and having a better understanding and sense of self will make you feel more secure in who you are. Someone came. Hoo-ah. So asking yourself these questions will help you understand more about yourself and figure out who you are in that regard. And I think that's very important thing to do in order to feel better, because the more I get to know myself, the more secure I feel and the less anxiety I have about things. So I encourage people to always question, is this for me, or is this just something that I think that I should want, or that I'm expected to want or have, and so on. I'm moving around a lot because it's cold as balls here. Asking yourself why you think a certain thing or think you want a certain thing is not to get to the conclusion that no, it's not something that you want. It is to figure out if this is something that you truly want, or if this is something that someone else has kind of conditioned you to want or think. So if you've never asked yourself these questions before, I encourage you to do so. If you have asked yourself these questions and you still concluded that people who don't have children, who choose to not have children or can't have children, are incomplete or less than you, you're a shit person. I can't help you. Like, that's the thing. That kind of hateful rhetoric is just indicative of who you are as a person. And that's something that you have to live with. And I don't. Because I think that there's value in both. I think that if you decide to have children because that's what you want, have at it. But I also think that if you don't want to have children, that's fine too. And you're not less of a person because of it. You're not less complete than someone who does. I think that people are fulfilled by different things. I have friends whose whole existence has been about wanting to find a partner and then have kids. And they ended up having that, and they are so fulfilled by that. And on the other hand, I have friends who don't have children because they don't want it, and their partner or partners are super happy in that existence, and they're fulfilled by other things. You can't boil down human fulfillment to one thing. You just can't. There's more to people, and there's more to the experience and the existence of humanity. Like, there's more to humanity than this one thing. Whether that ends up being children or marriage or money or travel or whatever it is, people are complex, and that should be reflected in media. Because as we all know, representation matters. And that goes for this as well. Don't shame people into having kids when they don't actually want to have kids, because that just reinforces this cycle of negativity and abuse and shit that we already have going on. My generation has very much been the first generation to really consciously try and break generational trauma. And I think we have a lot of work ahead of us to continue that work. And one of them is that representation matters. So I would like to see more child-free people represented in this case, specifically romantic relationships. And then you can have a discussion about people who are living the single life, you know, the single child-free life. That's also something that needs to be allowed to be the end goal, because some people want that and it should be okay. Let people live the life they want and encourage them to be happy. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that that's definitely something that we should all strive to be, because I want to be surrounded by people who support me and encourage me and love me for who I am, not for how I adhere to their preconceived notions about what I should be like. And I feel very comfortable saying that that's what people want too. So I strive to be that way to other people as well, and encourage them and support them in their own existence and what they want. And I think you should too, because it brings about a lot happier people, and happier people make better choices. Whatever those choices are, they're gonna be good for them. And really, that's not so bad. My hands are absolutely popsicles, so I'm gonna head home. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time when I hopefully have a desk chair again and back in my studio. Technically my office, but yeah. Hope you liked it. Please let me know down in the comments what you think about this subject. What's your experience? And I will see you in the next one. Bye!